I think I got everybody on.
Oh, January 9th, 2025 council on aging. One nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Vice Chair Craig.
Here.
Geller. Moody. Here. Bill Foyle. Denny.
Here.
Hill. Here. Okay. We have. Yes. Our first order of business then is to appoint a chairman.
Nomination.
Nominate a chairman.
My nomination, Linda.
But it says nomination board, I didn't hear what you said. I nominate a chairman.
For the chairman.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, hold on.
It's been
So. Can I say, we have to do a
ballot.
ballot,
Yeah.
yeah.
Secret, yeah.
I didn't know what I didn't, so I came prepared. So if you would take and hold it. I'll be fine.
Right, and then both.
Fighting and fold. I don't think it puts it in this way. Chair.
See you tomorrow.
Be the church out here. Takes a while to count all those ballots. With forecast, yes, around the same National Weather Service said up to a foot tonight. But the National Weather Service doesn't say that. It says basically on the day. Yeah, so but on for like 2 weeks. Almost consistently.
About 2 centuries.
They actually were really good there for a while. I don't know, the guys that have been doing it, whatever, for a while, they're, pilots, so you know.
It's the only job I know you can always be wrong and still have a job.
That's right. Well, yeah, it's a 20% chance of something. Right? You're always right.
That's true.
The secret.
So the votes are Rachel Craig 3, Jim Linden 2. So that is second. So that's done
I'm
by,
thinking a simple majority of what's required for that part.
right, okay.
Does
everybody vote?
Five voters. Okay, so
6 of, oh, yeah.
Yes, there's a
Is
motion.
that our minimum?
Yes, well, we have 8 on Council on Aging Commission now, and we have 5 present. We need to have at least half of our members here to have a forum. And we have 5 out of our 8. Out of our 7. We have 7. We have 7. We have 5 out of our 7. So, okay, page 2.
Is there a motion for vice chair?
I nominate Jim Whitney.
Nominations?
So she made a motion to nominate. There's no other nominees, then she made the motion, we just need a second, I guess.
I think it just makes it so,
It makes it
you know,
so.
because you didn't do a second on the other.
Oh, well, it says second.
Congratulations.
Okay, that's done.
Is there a motion? The agenda as presented? Actions to approve the agenda as presented? Public comments today, so are there any members? So approval of the December 12th, 2024 regular meeting minute.
Can I ask, we need to have a revision to the minutes for December 12th. If you look on the second page, discussion recommendation, we're to investigate the need for additional senior housing. And you look at the motion, Commissioner Glendenning moved to recommend that administration investigate the need for additional housing. I went back through and listened to the tape. It's Commissioner Glendenning moved to recommend that council investigate the need. So that I need a motion. We need a motion to change that, to amend that.
I move that we amend substituting council for administration. On item 1.
Second,
All right.
I need a motion to approve the
motion to approve the agenda
motion to approve the minutes.
as amended.
Second. That was correct, right?
We have no new business. And we have any new business, or we don't have any unfinished. So let's move on, if we don't, to the senior director for reports.
So, it has been a busy month for our administrative assistant 3. And I was out on Medco, 2 weeks, the last 2 weeks of November, first week of December, and then 2 weeks after, before Christmas. And so, during that time, the state gave an RFP. It was leftover COVID money or ARPA money that Division of Public Assistance had, that the state, the Division of Public Assistance couldn't use it. They gave it to the Department of Health, which is under Division of Senior and Disability Services. So the Division of Senior and Disability Services came and they went to all of us as grantees and said, okay, we're putting this out and we're giving you 10 days to get it back. And it was 1.6 million. And amongst, it was a non-competitive grant. It didn't require a match, which is unusual. Didn't require that, so it was non-competitive. But they had specifically what they wanted us to do. And they wanted us to, they requested proposals from current Title III grantees in good standing, which I do take pride in that, to provide emergency planning and preparation for agencies to maintain the continuity of services to older Alaskans in the event of an emergency. And so we had to have site specific, which is different than our City of Kenai plan, even though disaster plan, emergency preparedness plan, it's not site specific for seniors. And so this read with the collaboration of our fire chief, JT, and the collaboration of Lee, not Lee, but wasn't Lee Fry, it was Jennifer at the new controller, was Jennifer Anderson. And she got together with Terry, she decided to go for it. I was not capable of being there. And I told the state that I didn't know that we could charge of operations at that time, was acting. And that gal pumped out a grant of $45,000 and we got it. And I want to, when we send a memo to council for this, they need to stay generic. We don't usually call out people or administration doesn't really want us to call out people in our memos to council. And, we are a team, we work on this together. But she, with efforts from the fire department, the borough, she appealed to Brenda Albert at the borough and emergency planning and our new controller helped with the figures on it. And we found out on the 30th that we got approved for almost 44,921. So this next week on January 15th, it's going to be introduced and adopted in a single meeting, because there's a catch in this, is that we have 6 months to get this done. So
We get the funds pushed out.
yes, they'll get the funds pushed out. Matter of fact, it's already, we may have already received an initial funding for it. And Red has a plan in going with this. It's going to require her and I to do quite a bit of work every month on this. But it is, what this will do, and the state realized, JT told her, currently it's either Arizona or California, one of those is currently in a lawsuit because they didn't have emergency services prepared for senior specific. And so, and under the Older Americans Act, we're supposed to do that. Well, our state has never asked us to do that. And so, and they're saying, okay, we need you to do this, but we'll give you the money to do it. So it's going to replace, what's kind of nice about it is it will replace some AED supplies for us that normally the fire department was able to get grants previously for this. If we have to purchase them, it's a huge chunk of our budget. Replacement first aid kits that we need, and then professional services to develop a site-specific emergency plan for seniors. And I just give major kudos to her and to be able to get this done.
Did
So
she do that on the last grant too? I remember the last meeting, or at least with, I interrupt, but I think she was Go ahead.
we're also approving, at the Wednesday meeting, a grant for $921 through Alaska Food Coalition. And that was a pretty simple grant that took me a couple of hours. And that was, she wrote a grant for, Meals on Wheels of America. Earlier this year had an opportunity for DoorDash.
Absolutely.
And she said, can I take this and run with it? I said, absolutely. And so she went with it, found out that we probably won't ever do that again. And so it isn't, it's a bit of an issue, and it's not, our drivers are specific. We hire them to work with seniors to know that. A DoorDash client driver is a totally different thing. So it was $2,500, and it saved us. What we used it was when we had a driver call out, we would call DoorDash and have it done. So they gave us $2,500 to pay DoorDash to get this done, but it probably, it's a good concept. And they tried it on a national level, I suppose, in a big are close and everything else, when, we've got a huge area. And so.
What kind of response did you get from the clients?
We use these mostly to deliver a weekly box, because that was 7 meals. And we got a bit of bargaining for doing it that way. And so they enjoy talking to the drivers. They enjoy, they didn't get them one-on-one. So,
They wouldn't have that, though.
they wouldn't have, it would be, we're very. Check the cooler. It's a way to check if that cooler is full from the day before, we know that the nurse in the door, we've got emergency contact, or we've got the troopers in the police department there. And so that was kind of missing out on that. It helped us in a few things, but it was really convoluted. And she just says, yeah, I'm not sure I ever want to do that. So, but I think the grant went through, it was just about 6 months. And by the time it went through to approve through, she just spent the last of it. So Meals on Wheels of America sent us the money. We put it in and then DoorDash became a vendor, and we paid after that. But this is where I can give Fred great credit. Terry mentioned at the department head meeting, he was really impressed with the endeavor of our teams at the city working together on this. That's something we have not always had that. And to say, hey, I got an opportunity for this, and to have our fire chief say, hey, I know something about this. Let's see what we can do. He and I both serve on a local emergency planning committee for the borough. I serve in the realm for seniors, and he serves as a city of Kenai representative. So it's they're gonna play. And Jennifer, we had a GEMS issue, and she just came right over and said, no, this is what we'll do. And she's fantastic, our new controller. So Terry was very pleased and impressed. I could not be more. It was good. It's really good. I came back on the first and found out we are having a volunteer appreciation dinner on January 31st. So you will be getting your invitations the first of the week. And we had that last year. It's on the last Friday of January, which is the 31st, I believe. And yes, volunteer appreciation. And it's some fun little prizes and some fun things, but it's just an evening just to dine in and get a nice meal dining. So I think at this point, but I will put it on the next agenda, because at this moment I don't remember what.
Senior vote.
Okay, way to get in my head.
Could I ask for
Does it allow you to, have temporary staff to help you if you need help with doing Franklin
It,
or the project?
what it does is it pays, she put in, we have to spend all the money by June 30th. We get until the end of September to have everything in place.
Okay.
And so that's not included in the ordinance because it's too confusing, by the way. But it is the state, they're giving us until that time to get everything in place. The funds just have to be spent by June 30th because this is federal money coming to the state. So with that, she put in that she and I, part of this grant is about 9 hours, 10 hours a month for her and me to specifically just work on this. We're going to, which is nice, it'll be a nice addition. We don't get the extra money, but it helps pay our salary during that time. And with the fire department and the borough help that we're getting on this, it will also pay for the big chunk of this is going to $26,000 is going to professional services for someone to come in. And there is a local person who does this, Dan Nelson, who used to be in charge of the borough emergency planning. And he now has a company, but we'll have to put a bid out. We'll have to get quotes on to doing this. But what they would do is part of that is that he will meet with all area senior centers. So we're all getting the same information that we need for this program, and then work with each individual site to do a site-specific emergency plan for seniors for each individual site. And that's $26,000. So at this point, there may be some things like we'll be buying emergency food for our home meal clients and our seniors that they can take home. Remember when we did the buckets? We decided not to do the buckets this time and to just go, many people still have the buckets, but to replace the food that's in there. So we'll be getting shelf-stable food to send to people and say, save this until expiration and throw it out. And a lot of people, that's all they're doing is that, but the state was very happy that we put in.
So Kathy, did you say you'll be working with senior centers on this? How is that going to work?
So they wanted collaboration. They wanted, and we did a joint memorandum of agreement on the grant saying that this will help us if we each hire Dan Nelson, then we'd each be paying a certain amount, or whoever got the quote for this, to do this. If coming together, we saved money because he's not developing 5 different things, only the site specific that he's developing. And so that was one way of collaborating. And they asked us to do that. They would love us to collaborate with even the Knightsy and NTS grantees in good standing, which it's Title III grantees in good standing, because Title III is it covers NTS, but it also covers family caregiver, which Nikiski has. They don't have nutrition, transportation, and services grant, but they have family caregiver grant. So that does not have it. They have, Milchick has it. So it would be Kenai, then Milchick, and Nikiski that go together, and Seward that go together on this. So that there will be, not every senior center has a Title III grant. And Sterling does not have a Title III grant. They used to. My understanding, they used to, I think. What did you say? Title III. Sterling.
Sterling never had a food one. They had.
Anyway, that's exciting. And when we get to the work session, I'd like to talk on how our Commission on Aging can be a part of that.
So the other centers will benefit from the knowledge. Right, their own,
Absolutely.
choose their, make their own
Absolutely.
plan.
Absolutely. There's, some of them are struggling. And so it's not, to me, it's not in the best interest of, it's not money we raised to do this. The state gave us money to do this.
Right.
It's not like we wouldn't share information with them. We share, we don't share private information, but if they needed that, of course,
I know it's a lot, they're not in good standing.
they do not have a Title III grant during the state of Alaska. Lost, they have two, and they do not have those.
I think it's something that
Yeah, it's exciting. She jumped on the bandwagon, didn't say anything. She would just, I was dealing with, and she just did it. That's all the report I have. If we have any, I'll be happy to answer questions. Yeah.
Yeah, we made a motion. With her, I mean, we're gonna just request a, work session and share knowledge there.
So the memo is in the council packet for next Wednesday. Also in the council packet is our annual report that we put in. And they are attaching this annual report to our minutes that are going in. I think they're attaching it to the minutes, or one of them. My memo will be attached to either the minutes for the packet, or it will be, this will be attached to it. And she put, we're the first one to have our work study report done. And so,
It's even flagged up, where I would speak about it. It's.
I saw that.
Okay.
I looked at it before. So, and I was not, I did not go into detail. I simply said one of the Council on Aging Commission work goals this year has been to investigate and look at the need for senior housing, and that they passed on the January 12th meeting. They passed a motion to recommend council investigate the need for senior housing. And that's in black and white on the memo. That's all that's on the memo. And so I did hear back from, I think I had told you a while back that I had been in contact with a local architect on what a feasibility study would cost. And I was able to talk with him yesterday. He was out on medical. I was out on medical, so I've been pushing emails lately. And so he gave a ballpark on what he did. I asked for exactly the type of feasibility study that we received in 1988, which is demographics, which is soil, everything about the location is conceptual drawings, what feasibility of market rent. They don't do a market study, but what feasibility of what kind of rent. And I asked for the very same things, and he ballparked it. I got it last night, and it was 250 to 300,000. Which truthfully, I was surprised.
That's very reasonable.
168,000 in 1988. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So with that information, that is not in the packet. That is, if it comes up as a question, at least we have knowledge of what something like that looked like. So, and that was per the requesting city manager. So I hope. Well, I think that we come to a good point. we've come to a good, it's up to council to decide what they want to do. I'm not looking at you. Not good. It's up to council to decide.
So all of council will be looking at you.
I think I will. Tonight.
Sorry.
So.
So,
Sarah has a lot of business in the next council plan.
We're happy. Um. Chair, I don't have anything really to report, so city council.
I wish I had as much good news as Jackie had. I've got good news, but it's not. I wanted to say, Dan Nelson's, if he comes up and that becomes available, it's somebody I worked with at the borough for a number of years. And I still run crossing professionally, did last month. He's a swell guy, very knowledgeable. You'd be just saying. So anyway, I had nothing to do with this proposal. It's probably coming, but I just, I was glad to hear his name come up. So it's the, kind of the end of the year. So our last meeting, really wasn't all that, I want to back up one more thing and see, I was able to make from here a month ago. I tried to get somebody from council, but folks, because most all of us were at AML. Except for one person, and she just couldn't do them all, so, Kathy. Anyway, I apologize for that, I try to make everyone. Our December 8th meeting, just to touch on a few high points, we approved extension to a couple of contracts for the division of forest for spruce beetle.
That is important in light of what's happening in California.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's places down there I never thought could possibly burn,
I worked down there for a while.
Yeah, we've got funds for two different areas, so we were able to spend all of them, which is, it's just consistent with what we've been doing.
Good.
And I think you've seen a lot of activity around town. Some of it is the borough too, but I think it's probably part of the same bucket money ultimately, I guess, coming through, but so it's benefiting us and, don't worry, because those spruce trees have been removed, it opens up a lot of light and things will just leap forward and grow out. Well, just how it is, we're not gonna do that. So, I never saw before. Yeah. We have that too. I didn't know that was in the woods. Let's see, if you frequent the airport, it's been there actually, but we approved a special use permit for Echo Lake Meats. They got it's like a sort of pop dispenser, but not as like fancier. You can buy their world famous cheese dip and meats and things like that. You can't get a steak there, but you can get all that other stuff. So anyway, they're just marketing there. I've used it once, but it's worked pretty good. And at the next meeting, we'll be approving, like Kathy said, $921 grant.
400. Oh, yes.
921.
Yes, that one too.
Yeah, and then there's the other one that's on it's not on my thing here because that's what I do. We're going to introduce it and approve it all at the same time. And one of those we all do very often. It's kind of pretty code, but when there are necessities like this, we can go ahead and take care of our business. And I'll be sure to you'll be there too. Probably.
Yes.
So you mentioned red, I would too.
And thank you for that. I figured you would.
Oh, yeah. Well, so I did that the last time too, but that was because I asked Kathy quite a bit about the red and done most work. I don't want to not thank somebody or just thank one person when there was 4 people or a group of people that did it. But I think red get most of that work in. From what I gathered when she's here, she's very capable and knowledgeable about these things. So, let's see, the last item that I have on my list I want to mention is, we're gonna have our next council meeting next Wednesday. Thursday after that at 6 o'clock, where we have the annual scheduled Indian tribe over here. Chamber of Commerce building at 6 o'clock. And this will be our third year in a row that we've met with them. It's pretty good in January. And just discuss common issues and all that, how we might be able to work other some things in senior housing, whatever, those sort of things. But also, I'm not really prepared for this, but part of what we're doing is that the chamber has been working on their displays and whatnot. They've got a curator that's been, a lot of them are artifacts and whatnot, and it's an opportunity for council everybody to kind of showcase. Not on my list here, but I think next Wednesday, I think it's a afternoon, morning, 11 o'clock. I think the chamber's having some kind of a meeting to do present presentation of how the things they've got in, then they'll have a regular meeting. So anyway, if you can make it over there, everybody's welcome to see Indian tribe. You know who they are. Most of sisters or something like that. They know who they. Oh, that's all I've got.
I'm glad to see that we kept Christmas up through the Russian Christmas. That's something that's been here for 50 some years. I'm glad to see that that's carried on. Just to honor that tradition, which is fundamental to our society here.
Yeah.
So good, thank you.
And that just happened too, right?
Russian Christmas, I think it was yesterday.
Yeah. Well, you know, I told our parks guy that last meeting too, is just the council that happy when I drive through town this time of year, you know, see all these lights out here, you know, they're just beautiful and it makes, they said, it makes you happy. So, you know, they're doing a great job.
Less darkness.
Yeah. Well, just the way they
Cheering.
strobe lights, it's happy, you know, it makes you feel good, right?
Oh, no. Our next meeting we have down is February 13th, and I will not be here the month of February, so.
13.
Yeah.
Commissioner comments and questions? Oh, yeah, I thought we'd go around the table. It's here. Well, I'm pleased with how this election turned out. We got some of the background, understanding, and leadership ability. We were gonna have a very, very, very good year. Best I can, what I can. So I think momentum, the housing increase, I think it's kind of has sideboards and on it, it's kind of fleshed out, so I have something to say if we're asked. But we're gonna request a work session with council at some point in time. Once things get going and whenever it's appropriate to have more information, right?
That would be up to this committee. That would not be up to me.
Yeah, well, I'm just, the timing of it.
Okay.
You want us to request that next meeting? As an agenda item? Or, also see what fits with their schedule or how would this work?
It, would it be good to see what happens with this going
That's my idea.
at that and maybe, get report back as to, what the council, if there was any direction given that night, and maybe
Right.
that may be something.
See how it fits in with their
Right.
ideas.
And I could bring it back on the schedule next month
Sure.
to discuss again if.
That'll be good.
I would just confirm Jim's comment. During the,
Just one more thing, there's a call out for more commission members. And, there's one or two I have in mind, but, they, both have to be out of town at the time, but I'll do what I can to try and bring somebody in, somebody has to be ready. See, so, right here, Sam wants you.
Sign here.
Sign here. Sure.
I'm going to the last name. Gina used to be a member and has indicated she has some interest in.
Yeah, that's my next one.
Okay.
Yeah, and, if you would. I just see from them, well, we'll get it. But I think she would be a good addition.
Chat to her.
Okay.
We have another individual that I don't.
All right, any comments?
I think, obviously, maybe it's very stupid. Chair of our committee. But what happened to
His time, sure.
oh, so that was, we had one, it's some part of our group.
No, he's decided to look, he served 3 years.
Yeah, he does like that.
Oh, I didn't realize that, so that's why I was a little confused. I was asking Bill, are we voting for the assistant? Voting for the assistant? So at this point, we have a chair, but we don't have a. Vice. Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad I cleared that.
Good, you were away now.
That's good. I mean, wait for it. Next. Everybody seems to be doing well into the new year.
Congratulations to both you guys, and, looks like we're, the agenda probably for next year, and looking forward to.
It'll be busy.
It's exciting to hear about more housing. It's exciting about Grant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, seeing any other, if there's no other business before this body, we're going to adjourn. Over.
I don't know who the chair would be, so I put myself there. So, I'm going to turn it over to the chair, if that's okay. All right, but what I can give you an introduction on what I put in the packet for you. So, this year, this was the first year that council had done this, through Rachel's tenure and into mine. We always had goals for our council on aging. And, you know, and we put them up on the easel and everything. So, and then we'd submit them to council. So, the clerk's office came up with this council, work plan for each of the committees, and I really believe it was because there was confusion as to what their job, what did they do? What did they do to create more work for the departments, then what is the focus? And the focus is that, you as a body advise city council on things about senior. You're an advisory board to city council about senior things. And so last year, we ended up having 3 objectives. And you know what those were, we talked about them at several meetings. And then I put in just a annual work plan on just a blank copy of that. And then thinking through, I have 2 that I would like to bring up before, and if that's okay with you, I'd like to bring up. The first one is that Kit, who was with you on. For generational activities. And Kit did a very good job, you did a lot of research on these. And so do you talked previously about how we could continue that into 2025. Do you want to elaborate on that at all?
Well, I think one part of it was to actually send out a letter and questionnaire to local high schools and to first identify if they have programs. And yes, in addition to generate interest.
And we got legal.
We have not sent that out, so that would be probably one of the first. I guess the other thing, for, I don't know, the same way, for me, is more clarification of what you have. What information, what research do you need to help ensure how this relates to your goals? Take that time.
And your needs for how that group.
In the intergenerational.
So it's an education back and forth, obviously, still, some needs to be met.
Yeah, how would you, don't we need to kind of address the volunteer system in connection with this? Because I can see them being really run by the volunteers under the auspices of the volunteer system. But we don't really have that defined very well with the seniors and.
So we do have a volunteer application, just a short one. The volunteer handbook has been sent on to administration, and I would check back with them. They've had a few months to look at that, and I'll bring that back once I hear back whether that's been, I agree, that needs to be formalized.
Is there something that you really want to get involved with?
Right. The second item I had was this emergency plan is going to require an backing of the advisory board, and you are our advisory board. And so for the senior center as well. So that will be something as I would like to see it as an objective to provide what staff might need. And at this point, I can't tell you what that looks like. But it would as we dig into more of this and get it going to where we, I would foresee that one of the, for instance, let me back up. Nikiski, Milchick, Seward are all nonprofit corporations. So they're nonprofits and they have a board of directors that approves all of that. So we have an administration who approves that, but we also have a board. While you're not a governing board, you're also an advisory board. And so there will be key things that we bring to your attention, we talk about, and we would like some help with that. And I think, especially in the next 6 months, you'll see Red talking quite a bit about that actually. And as this goes forward, you know, to say, okay, this is what this plan looks like, you know, thoughts on this, so that we have some insight into, so it's just not the two of us or Dan or whoever is getting the bid for it. But that we have some collaboration from this group too. So that would be an objective I have.
So if I hear you right, what you're saying is you would bring back information about the emergency plan with the, including from the other senior centers, did I do that?
Including thoughts from
Including
this body.
This body,
Yes,
yeah.
because there is a great talk, Tony mentioned it before Tony retired, well, he didn't retire, but where he went to Oregon. And JT, our new fire chief, talked about it too. While we do not have a site or like a Red Cross site because of our showers, because of sleeping area, we can feed people. That's what we can do here. That requires that would be a generator at the senior center.
There you go.
And so we've seen what that costs. We know it's expensive. We know there's 100,000, at least 75 to 100,000 sitting right there. But enough to keep that building from freezing up. That's and to charge some senior cell phones on each floor, you know, so
Or
it is.
breathing apparatus.
So if we have, that was part of the discussion, you know, so us moving forward into that, you know, what does that look like? And so that already has come up. That's probably, you're not gonna see anything in the plan scope before June 30th on that. But there are grants that we could go after for that, especially if we're an emergency place for food, you know.
From the bid to stay, right? So during the day. Here, get them fed, keep them warm.
Well, even the general public, I don't know what food capacity the armory has right now, but in the event of a natural disaster, we could feed cooking chicken over a candle, I don't know.
There's also this building over here where we used to vote.
It's here.
There's a place over by the high school. Ted Stevens.
Challenger Center, they have showers.
They have a kitchen also.
Yes,
Okay, so there's another option there.
Yeah.
Is there goals or standards that we have to meet, or is it just whatever we think would serve our community in the type of disasters or emergencies that we would have here?
see, this is the sort of thing, I would like to bring a person who knows that information, and maybe we start with our fire chief. I don't know what that
That's
answer
good.
is.
Yeah,
But that-
something to think.
We bring this and we bring it to, we find out more information on what that looks like. And this is I don't have let's go after a grant for it, but what would that, you know, for FEMA funding, I don't know, does that open the door for us to be able to do that? I think it's worth looking into. That was Tony's suggestion to us as he left. He said, we talked about this, we don't have the bed capability, we don't have the showers, but you got food capability. You got the ability to feed people.
But you did the water without it.
Yeah. So you were suggesting FEMA might be a possible sort of.
It might be, you know, so, I don't know, I don't know the answer to that. I think I would like to explore that, but, so. So those were my two. They, I don't know if you have any, you have thought of anything?
Have any other ideas before I? Right.
I think could we have more put into developing the volunteer program? Could we have more input into the structure of that program and maybe recommendations for the getting more community involvement, including the schools, of course, and the different levels from elementary all the way up to the college.
And I think,
Oh, yeah. Been working on that.
Again, you know, if we had more to look at in terms of what we already have in the volunteer program, if we had something in writing, then maybe we could go from there.
right,
Yeah. And there's an objective around that, the volunteer program, and maybe having the volunteer group responsible for including intergenerational people as well, or programs as well.
I think your ideas are good, but if I understood Cassie, you have a volunteer manual that's gone to the city for the attorney to look at, and she's gonna bring that back to us, Barb, to look at it. I think that's a huge step right there, and then we can incorporate what kids team is working on, I would think.
we have, ages are a huge thing. If you have, someone under the age of, say, 16, to have an adult accompany them, they have to be an adult presence. If you have anybody working one-on-one with a senior, say not in a visible setting or delivering meals, they have to have a background check.
So it can't be an adult that's part of the program that they're assisting with.
Well,
It has to be somebody from.
It is.
The child's,
it is, but that's what Rachel mentioned, we have a volunteer handbook that goes into a lot of this. But we need administration to sign off on it to make sure it's legal, it covers our bases with our grants. And then I will bring that back to you and say, that'll be, I would say that would be one meeting this year. That we bring a volunteer book back and say, you have any suggestions on this? This has been approved through administration. They get volunteers at the library and they have a fairly simpler one. We have a full population, which puts us in a whole different field.
On both ends.
On both ends, yeah. And so, and our grants require certain things. They require certain, our volunteers has to be, anybody who's driving or delivering home meals, even as a volunteer, has to be background checked. They have to be transportation certified. They have to have in the kitchen, you don't have to go through. So it says, yes, let's get a volunteer program, but we have to be able to afford if they fit into these specific areas. And, you know, I wish it was a lot easier, a lot simpler than it is.
We have two goals right now, one's the volunteer program and two
One's-
would be the emergency plan. And then I.
It's last year's. It's 2024. So
I would think we want that as a goal, just to keep focus and keep
What was the last one?
the senior housing, to make sure it keeps moving forward.
So I didn't bring them to you this time because but Terry did give me feasibility studies that Alaska Housing has done for the Alaska Housing Initiative Program, which is the city has donated property along Redoubt over here in Kenai, and they built the 4plexes and 6plexes that, and those are based on income. Those are low income. So Alaska Housing does have a feasibility study for low income to middle income. They do not for middle income to upper income. And one of the things we're gonna come up, one of the things I feel that we're gonna come up on is the fact that getting funding is, you know, Mayor Williams had mentioned, okay, you wanna have partially subsidized apartments. And we have 116 on a wait list. And saying that, that wait list looks a lot different, and it means a lot different than it does a half a dozen years ago. Because my goals were to revamp that wait list, and we changed it. You say no one time, you can go to the bottom, and then you're off the next time that you say no. We don't let people continually just do this. And so we have, I cannot believe every week, we just rented 3 apartments. So we went through, we didn't go through more than 12 to 15 people on that wait list. They were, you know, usually to rent the apartment, we would go through 40 or 50 names. You know, to, if we had 3 apartments one year, we go through the list several times. It's not happening anymore. On an apartment, they want it now, and this last apartment that this woman has been on the wait list for 2 years. I've never seen it go that long, where she never turned an apartment down. 2 years she was on the wait list. So I think we have some adequate things, and I'm preaching to the choir, I think. But it's to show, you know, I think we still need to talk about, you know, we had talked about keeping it along the same lines as Vantage Point. That it wasn't a Section 8. So we have people who on our wait list who will not live in housing that has subsidized housing. And it is to be prejudiced by any means, but it's a whole different ballgame.
So saying that, is that something we're gonna have to prove that there's a need out there for middle to upper, the council?
Feasibility study shall.
That
You know, what was,
Well, how does that relate to the degree of independence or care that is needed? Is that related in any way to the funding from the different sources?
no, I remember.
Rather than just income alone, but the senior needs, how
No. Not,
um,
that is, that
your
doesn't make
building
sense.
is gonna vary depending on the needs of the population that you're planning the building for. Yeah, I'm just a little, wondering about the senior housing, when we say senior housing, that we need it, but we really haven't defined the population that we're looking at, that we need it for.
There is a definition for what we do have.
Yeah, very much definition.
That
Definition of what we have that has worked really well.
So Barb might be right, in fact, that's one of the things we would have to flesh out, okay, what are we looking for? We know that we might be overloaded on lower income housing in our area, so what does that look like? And I would think that part of that would come out of the feasibility study, wouldn't it?
I asked him for everything in it, I asked him, did I tell you that already? I asked him, he asked what we wanted. And I said, all I know at this point, and if council decides they want to move on that for administration's recommendation, if they even ask that I asked for the very same things that were in the 1988 feasibility study, which is demographics, geographic, building, and whether, and cost. And I think so you get the whole realm of everything. It may come back to say, there's enough feasibility studies on demographics that they don't have that part of it. Because the architect would have to hire that part out. That's not something they do. And so I just said, you know what, you're doing a ballpark, I'm doing a ballpark is what we need, so let's base it off of what we got in 1988, this book right here.
See what the game's gonna look like.
Yes, I got
Well, two things, there's one thing we could add. Okay, is having some handicap accessibility.
There's gonna be some ADA requirements, I'm sure.
That's what I'm trying to say, yeah, because there's veterans. Okay, there may be people that are missing a limb or whatever, that they're perfectly able to live on their own, they just need a graph arm or something like that. And that's something we could design in. And then the other thing is that I believe the understanding is when this thing was first set up, it would be at a level of funding requirement for renting or leasing an apartment at a price that does not compete with the taxpayers who subsidize this building. I think that's a firm premise.
So I just finally found someone to do a new rental market rate study it's due this year, 2025. And I put in the budget $6,000 to do that and got a quote of $999. Done that up in 5 years. And the company that did it for us before isn't interested in doing it. They said no. And so they recommended there is a local one to do that. But that would be, on that, this building is 30 years old. And so it would be a brand new building. What's the market rate on a brand new building with the all ADA compliant? Every apartment has to be ADA compliant.
It's probably something that would increase in rent or rents.
Well, that too, and then different thoughts would be, Bill and I talked many times, so in fact, we 1 bedroom 20, 2 bedroom 20. And that's the biggest demand we have is for 2 bedroom apartments. But you don't want to outprice yourself out of the market we have more 1 bedroom apartments than 2 1 bedrooms and about 8 different sizes.
And the market study would reveal that, and our knowledge, our understanding would reveal. Even though this is 30 years old, it's in excellent shape, we take good care of it. Very good care.
When you say ADA, and this might be. Go strictly ADA, you're talking about counters being low and
Well, that
everything,
that would
and that, if you versus having grab bars for all seniors or having a smooth floor instead of a lift to get into the shower. Those are things you could do. Still kind of ADA, but not, still have some apartments that are ADA compliant, but have user friendly for seniors.
That's
I mean-
probably what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
Do you know what the ADA on a multi-level, multi-unit apartment, how many have to be ADA?
Do not,
That-
that is not something.
I don't know. I'll have to have, the sprinkler systems and stuff, but it seems to me maybe there's only a certain percentage of them that have to be ADA.
So there's only one over here, correct? It's really ADA compliant. But I know. Make it ADA. The shower and the lift up, and I'm talking this much to step into the shower, and she was not able to do that. But in order to make it was $20,000. And I'm going.
The remodels will take out that stuff.
To take that out, you know, the plumbing underneath and everything.
So
What to do.
would you be open to, Rachel, I know you're leaving before February, but if I brought with you, we sat down and went over and tried to write these out like we talked about and bring something back to the group next month?
That would be great.
As far as the goals, and then we could review it. Do you want to have a work session to review that?
And writing right now.
Have a work discussion, and then out of that, have things that we might
That
vote on. I think that'd be a good idea.
Yeah, that's excellent.
Okay, all right. So are there any other goals we want to add?
And that I'd like to go back and talk about the just on volunteerism.
It's intergenerational.
Okay, but I was trying to say that I don't think that we necessarily. We should, you know, was much broader, looking at it. Programs for seniors, which wouldn't necessarily be volunteerism.
Right.
Meaning joint programs.
And I see, I think the Canarsie Tribe has a senior, a national senior volunteer program that maybe we could get copies of that.
Sure, you definitely.
Oh, we don't, that, but senior volunteers going to the schools, that kind of thing. And not necessarily just with generational differences, but
Well, it's
using senior volunteers for
right.
going out and
But I think it is.
So Kit, let me ask a question, that's what you just said. So if I knew that there was a daycare in the area that wanted to do an intergenerational program with our seniors, what does that look like? That's something
Right.
you have to, be something you have to flush out. Would that be part of what you're thinking about?
Yes, and I think that was in the research, that was a very common way to connect seniors. But that's just an example.
And then, you know. Just that made me think of something else is. At the hospital, when the new babies are born, I know there's places where seniors go in and walk the new babies. So. Little volunteerism, but what can partner with?
I don't see any problem if we know of those things.
Schools like people to come to children.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
Yeah, we could
industrial arts for. Seniors and senior guys or gals. Shop program. Any other goals?
Those are three really big ones.
Yeah.
That we.
Thank you so much. time, you guys are, you know, you may be retired, but, some of you will be retired. But I know it takes time out of your schedule, but it is, I very much thank you for your work and for your.
Thank you for everything that you do.
So we may not have a meeting this month. Because we don't have anything to discuss,
Just work.
but we could have a work session unless something changes with senior housing issue, you know, and then I would let you know. So I'll plan it just for a work session at this point. And then we'll have a mock-up copy of this, you can work on and, bring it back to you. Is that sound good? 13.
Okay, any other questions? Or comments?
Keep the cookies coming.